Action Man was the most significant toy line into my introduction in collecting vintage toys. So, as celebration of my 40th video on this YouTube channel, join me as we take a deep look into my small Action Man collection. Now, for a little bit of context for those who don't know what an Action Man is, Action Man lasted from 1966 to 1984 and was the most popular boys' toy of its time. It focused on a main action figure that you could dress into different military or action-focused uniforms. However, with the gradual rise of smaller scale action figures with Kenner's 3 3/4 inch Star Wars toys, Action Man grew less and less popular and ended in 1984. That is a very brief summary of the Action Man toy line. There are many different eras of Action Man and even an American counterpart, which it actually started out as in 1964 as G.I. Joe. So if you want a better idea of the story of Action Man, I'd highly recommend Tony from Analog Toys' 3-part Action Man documentary, which dives in depth into the story of Action Man and actually interviews some of the original designers of Action Man. So now let's get on to my Action Man collection. So this is my first Action Man that I ever got. I got him back in the summer of 2020, a whole 5 years ago now. And he is by far my favourite because he is my first one. Here I have him dressed in his in a German paratrooper uniform from the the Action Man Internationals line. He did not come with this uniform. He only came in this just green jumper and these khaki sort of trousers. In fact, he didn't even have boots when I got him. They were sent by my grandparents because they found them in their house because my uncle used to have Action Man. He's in very poor condition. If you looked at his flocked hair, you can see some of his hair is missing. Obviously, you can clearly see both hands are missing. I knew this when I got him. In fact, only one of his hands were missing when I first bought him. And the day I got him, I was trying to look at the hands to see why they were broken, because they didn't look quite right. And then I broke the other hand doing that. But that does mean he's got sort of a different personality and importance compared to my other Action Man figures. I can't remember how much I paid for him. It can't have been much due to his condition, but I remember being ecstatic when I first got him. I was just so excited that I was finally starting a vintage toy collection on my own. Like I had seen all the YouTubers on YouTube having a huge collection. He doesn't have many accessories. I was able to give him this, I believe it's an M1 ground. I gave it to him. I just put it through this hole in his sleeves so that he can hold it, because obviously he doesn't have any hands. I have tried giving him hands, but the problem with them is that there's something stuck inside his arm, which means replacement hands the peg doesn't fit inside his arm. So the only way I can think of to fix him is just giving him new arms entirely, and I'm not spending £20 for arms. He does have quite good posability. This is just, I'm not going to show the posability for all the figures. I'm only going to do it for this guy. So he can bring his leg up that high. He has a bend at the knee. His feet can move back and forth and twist there. Bring his leg out. There's a ball joint there. He doesn't really have much of an ab crunch. His arm can come out, bend at the elbow, turn at the bicep. Head can move. Overall, it's enough articulation for a military-based figure. And yeah, I really like him because he was my first figure, and I have that attachment of, you know, breaking him the same day I got him, but also that he started my vintage toy collection and my toy collection in general. So this is my next Action Man figure. This one was passed down to me from my uncle, who used to have Action Man toys, and he gave this one to me and another one, which I'll show you in a moment. Now this costume, I'm not too sure what pack this was originally bought as in. But I remember buying this costume because the costume didn't come with the figure. My uncle only handed down 2 figures without the clothes. And this costume was actually originally on this guy, and then I gave back his costume once I got him. You can see a difference in the heads if I bring them forwards. You can see the eyes are very different, and the face sculpt overall is different to this guy. The eyes are actually painted on this one, and the reason they are separate here is because there's a little lever on the back, or a slide thing. It's a bit difficult to see, and if you move it from side to side, his eyes can move. Now this one is a little bit broken, so his eyes can only move to the right. But the other one I have, his eyes can move completely. He has these sort of nice blue jeans and a black jumper, and this sort of gold automatic machine gun. I'm not too sure what these are. I've got a couple of grenades on his belt, which he can hold in his hands. And these are the hands that the other Action Man would have looked like. So they are made of this sort of rubbery type plastic, so that you can put the weapon in their hand and sort of put their finger in the trigger, but then when you take their hand out, the gun or weapon out, their hand goes back to the original shape. So it makes it a lot more versatile and easy to put accessories into. He has a belt here, and this is one of my favourite parts of the Action Man series, the detail. So instead of just being one moulded piece, you can actually open this up and pull out a little pistol, and he can hold this as well. And with the belt, you can actually take it off, and these little clips are made of real metal. So this is the sort of detail that I really like about the Action Man collection that you don't really see in modern day figures today. So yeah, this is one of my favourite figures I have, or costumes, just because he has like multiple guns and grenades on his belt. He just looks really prepared for a fight, which I find really cool. He has still got the fuzzy sort of flocked hair. I think he's got brown hair compared to the other guy who was had blonde hair. So yeah, I really like this guy. Next up is another one of the figures my uncle gave to me. Again, he did not come with a costume. Instead, I bought this Red Devil parachutist costume on my own. And then this gun, actually, when I went to my grandparents one time, someone across the street had a box full of Action Men. And he let me borrow them for the day, and when I went back to return them, he let me keep this SLR rifle. I'll just take it out of his hands quickly. It's got some nice detailing on it. This is, out of all the guns that I have, I think this is my favourite because it's like a rifle. So you've got brown on it and some black. It's quite nice and some really good detailing on it. Having a look at the actual figure, you can take this parachute off. And underneath is a full zipped up jumpsuit, and there is actually a real zip on it. It is a very broken suit. I think this only cost me about £20 when I bought it. So like the back piece, there would have been a piece that would have gone up and covered all this up. That's just gone. And there would have been a parachute that would have gone in here, and you could throw this Action Man up into the sky, and he would have drifted down safely with a parachute. But that's gone as well. He's got an emergency parachute here, which doesn't have anything. It's just basically a pillow. And he has a helmet, which you can put on his head, but there would have been padding inside here that would have stopped it from moving around like this. He has black flocked hair. All the colours there was blonde, black and brown, but before they had the fuzzy hair like this, the hair was actually painted on, and I believe there was ginger. but they got rid of that when they started the flock set. With this one, his eagle eyes, which are the moving eyes, they actually work completely. So if I move the lever, you can see his eyes moving left to right. I do like this, but sometimes when you roll them back to the middle, they can be wonky, not correctly aligned. But it does mean you can get some pretty cool poses with him. So this is another one of my favourites, but I would like a nicer conditioned Action Man. But I'll get onto a reason why in a moment, why my collection isn't very big and why I haven't bought any more costumes for these guys. So before we move on to the final figure in my collection, I just wanted to have a quick look over my German motorcycle and sidecart. I remember getting this off eBay for £20 because it is mostly damaged. Like here, that's not meant to move. There's meant to be like a like an antenna that's meant to come up from the sidecart. That's missing. Stickers are missing. It's missing the headlight at the front. But because of that, it was really cheap, and it is still today the only Action Man vehicle I have. If we take off the figure riding here, so you can put any figure on here. It's got quite nice sculpting representing like the exhaust and the engine and stuff. I'm not sure if this was official Action Man or something. I think it was. And obviously it's in a nice, it's moulded in a nice dark green. There would have also been a machine gun that went here. I don't have that either. You can put any Action Man in the sidecar, and there's like a little moulded seat here, the axle along there. There's a spare wheel on the back, and it rolls quite nicely back and forth. And then I don't know what you'd call this, the handle can move, and it moves the front of the wheel. So it's really nice. It is the only bike I have, or only vehicle even, in my collection. There are quite a few vehicles I'd like. I'd like a helicopter. I'd like a Jeep, that would be really cool. Maybe an assault craft, which is a small little plastic dinghy. So yeah, I really like this, and for the price I got it, it was really, really good. There's also on the handle here some sculpting of some dials and speedometers and stuff. So yeah, it's a really nice vehicle. If you have an Action Man collection and don't have one of these, I'd definitely recommend to pick it up, because it's really good to have especially German figures displayed with this, although I don't have any German figures. And there's also a license plate here. I also have this. This is not an official Action Man tent. My nan made this for me a couple of years ago, and it is actually surprisingly very good. It's made up of these wooden dowels, which plug in to a main dowel that goes along the top, and on the inside you can sort of fit an Action Man up. You do have to bend him down a bit, but you can fit the motorbike in there. I used to have a little bed, which my nan also made for me, but that has just crumbled apart and is gone now. So I don't really have much to put in here. And it's quite tall. It is about the height of an Action Man. And there is also a fabric floor. So it's really nice. The fabric is pretty good for a tent. Due to a mathematical error, the doors at the front do not completely cover up the front. But that's alright, and it is rather quite big. So yeah, it's not official. My nan made it for me, but yeah, I really love this. She made it for me many years ago, and I used to really enjoy playing with this with the Action Men in the back garden. I just wanted to quickly mention this. I'm not going to talk about it in depthly right now. I'm going to do a full video on this later in the year. This is the Action Man board game. This is the latest addition to my Action Man collection. I got it for Christmas last year. My uncle got it for me. And to be honest, it's not the greatest board game. It's more, I like it more as a collectible piece. This is a very unique item. Obviously, Action Man is an action figure and has no way you can link it to a board game. And as I'll discuss in the full video I do about this,
It is actually surprisingly good. It doesn't feel like they just put the Action Man logo on there or anything. It does feel like they incorporated Action Man into this, which is really cool. There's some nice art on the front of Battleship and Action Man, or a military person, and some jets. On the sides, it just says things like the Action Man game, the official Action Man board game, 2 to 4 players, and Palitoy Parker. Palitoy is the company that made Action Man. So now, finally, we can move on to the last action figure in my collection. And this is the final Action Man in my collection, and is by far my favourite Action Man costume. I believe it is the US Marine medic uniform. Now this costume has actually featured on my channel before. A couple of years ago, this was sent to me by the Toy Boy, who has his own YouTube channel. And yeah, he sent me this, which was really wonderful of him. And it is by far my favourite costume in my collection, which I'll get to in a moment. So before I talk about the figure, here he has a flag. It's not quite the Red Cross. I'm not sure what this is meant to represent, but it's obviously a medic cross. And yeah, you can hold this, and it is just a really nice piece. I wish there was a wire in it or something so that you could sort of like pose it, because normally this just stands like that when he holds it. Having a look at the figure, I got this for my 10th birthday, all the way back in 2021. And he's my only bearded action figure in my collection. He has a blonde beard, and again, all of these figures have the fuzzy sort of hair, and he has some reproduction gripping hands. I believe these are from the 40th anniversary. Here he has a white strap around his arm with the same cross on it. If I put him back here, he has a helmet with that cross on there as well. The elastic, I need to replace this elastic because it has no elasticity in it anymore. And when I put it on his head and put it under his chin, it just doesn't sit underneath his chin properly. It's meant to be tight around his chin, but it goes on his head very nicely and completes the uniform. Having a look at his accessories, if I take off his belt here, this is one of the coolest accessories in the Action Man line. It's a little water bottle pouch with water bottle. Now I do have another one of these, I just don't know where it is, but there's some pop thingies on it, and if you open them, this is made of fabric as well, and you can actually take out the water bottle, the silver canteen, and Action Man can't quite hold it, but it's just cool that this was integrated into the Action Man line. This could have very easily have just been a sculpted piece that went on the belt, but instead they added the extra detail and made it removable. Having a look at the actual costume, it comprises of a shirt with 3 little poppers here, and some trousers, and these tall boots. You would have noticed on the other action figures they had shorter boots which stopped about here, but instead these ones are tall ones, and you can actually tuck the trousers into these ones, although they like to undo themselves. So yeah, it's made up of this nice camouflage, which I actually really quite like. Sadly, on this action figure, if you bring his arm down like that, it gets very loose. So I sort of have to bend it like that so it stays tight. Now he also has this little bag or this little satchel that he can wear, and this also opens, so little popper there. Inside he carries this little bottle thing. I believe it's like a plasma bottle or something, I'm not too sure, and there's a little needle on the end, and there's a red bit of paper representing blood in there. Also in the bag is a little plastic, hollow piece of plastic representing a little med kit, which is really good, because this is obviously a medic character. He needs some extra medic related accessories, and as you can see, the bag can just sort of drape over his shoulder very nicely and neatly.
So he does also have some other accessories. So I already mentioned the flag that he had. This is a nice fabric. But he also came with this. I can't quite remember what this is called. But he or another action man can actually hold it with his gripping hands. So if I just... So you can pretend he's got like a broken leg or something, which is really neat. And then he also has this stretcher. I would try and get an action man on this with 2 action men holding it, but because my other action men have quite loose joints, or the other one with his hands have quite loose joints, it's quite difficult to get them posed, and it doesn't look very good. But I will take some other pictures of this guy in some other scenarios. So yeah, this is my favourite costume I have, just because it's the most complete out of all the other ones I have. All the other ones are sort of kit bashed or broken up, but this one's quite neat, and yeah, I just really like a good formal uniform, and this one is the only one that represents that. So that is my very small Action Man collection, and that brings me to a point I would like to address about my collection. Its size. It can hardly be called an Action Man collection. It's more of a group of action figures, especially comparing this to my Doctor Who collection, which I've been collecting for about the same amount of time. That consists of roughly 33 figures instead of 4 figures. So why such a difference? Should there not be the same amount of Action Man figures, or much more than 4 if I've been collecting for 5 years? Well, it comes down to money, as most things do. Action Man is quite an expensive toy line to collect, and I can't afford to pay £60 for a figure and £30 for a costume, all for just one displayable piece. That's £90, almost £100. I can't afford that. Doctor Who, on the other hand, is quite a cheaper collection. I can buy one figure for £2-3 and add it to my collection, which is why that collection grew so much more than my Action Man one. Don't get me wrong, I'd absolutely love to have a much larger Action Man collection. I love all the different costumes there were in the series: the SAS officer, SAS key figure, the sailor uniform, the deep sea diver, just to name a few. These are some of the most beautiful looking toys that one could collect, but I just can't afford it. It's really sad to say this, but I don't ever see my Action Man collection getting any larger than 5 figures. I do have a figure on order at the moment. It hasn't arrived yet, and I will probably do an unboxing of that figure in a couple of days. But apart from maybe 1 or 2 more figures, I never see this collection getting any larger. Having said that, though, I do love the figures I have. I'd like to upgrade a couple of them, specifically my Red Devil parachutist, maybe get a proper working parachute for that and do a video about that. And definitely get some new arms for the Action Man I have, because as I showed you, the hands on that figure just are all wrong and I can't fix that. So I hope you enjoyed this video looking at the Action Man toys I have. Thank you for watching 40 of my videos. I never thought that I'd really get to 145 subscribers, and I'd like to continue growing this channel as the years to come. Next year is the 5-year anniversary of this YouTube channel. I definitely never thought that I'd get 5 years. I still have to get there though. And I will be doing a 5-year anniversary video about that, probably about Action Man as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely click like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.